Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeremy Meyer. I am the director and owner of Trona Solutions. Now, a while back, I was actually asked to do a series of presentations, should I say seminars, on things that I find personally something that I could help you guys with. So this is what I did today. I started with how to present your company and seal the deal. Now with that, what I mean is that I did a seminar, or basically a set of 3 seminars, which I will basically go over and review the kind of tips with you. If you want to check it out, go to Webseminari.lt and you guys can see in depth of each one of these. Now there's 3 seminars that I will be basically covering today, which will be small talk, it will be a presentation, and then the end will be informal settings. Now, it might not make a lot of sense right now, but just bear with me. In a few minutes, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, today, I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to be talking about the first thing, all right? So, you got the contract. Now, today, we're talking about whatever type of business it is. I don't know what kind of business you are doing, but this 3 applies to every set of business. If you are buying something, if you're selling something, or you're selling a company, selling a service, whatever it is, it does not matter, all right? So let's get started. So successful encounters using small talk. Now, what exactly is small talk? Small talk is basically, I used this expression before in the seminar, where if you go to the water, right? So for instance, you're gonna go swim in some water. What's the first thing you do? You just don't jump in the water, do you? No, of course not. The first thing you do is that you test the waters, right? You put your foot in first. If the water's too cold, guess what? You are not gonna be swimming, all right? But if the water's nice and warm, then you will be swimming. That analogy is the same thing that applies to business, all right? Now, if you meet somebody the first time, you just don't go right into business, right? That's why I created a seminar called Just Small Talk, because a lot of people have a problem with just small talking. Small talk can help you in anything, whether it be personal life or in your business, professional life. It does not matter. Now, in this case, I'm obviously not going to be talking about anything personal. We're going to be talking about business-related stuff, all right? So, use small talk to your benefit. Now, what exactly does this mean? Now, when you are sitting across or you're meeting somebody for the first time, first impressions last a long time. So, your usual smile, your usual firm handshake, same thing applies for women. None of this weak handshakes. Meet somebody. And then before you get into business, spend 10, 15, 20 minutes. Trust me on this one. One time I spent using small talk, these techniques that I go over, and I ended up talking for 3 hours before even getting into business. We talked about business for 5 minutes, and then the deal was sealed. All right? Small talk is a small part, but it can play a huge role in for you securing that $10 million contract. Litas, doesn't matter the currency, euros, pounds, it does not matter. But just all you need to focus on is that it does work. So, all right, small talk. So we're getting started with small talk, right? So the benefit, obviously, of this is that your benefit is to get the contract, all right? So you're going to have to small talk to whoever the person is. Talk to them, all right? It's easy. How was the weather? How was your flight? How was the food? It does not matter. I give you topics also to go over, things you can talk about and things you cannot even talk about. Don't even talk about it at all. It's called taboo subjects, all right? We'll go over that also. Open posture, attentive. Now, obviously, if you are closed off, your body language is telling something, all right? Now, everybody, you don't have to be a body language expert. Everybody has a subconscious part of their brain that tells them, hey, you know what? I like this guy, or I like this girl. I don't know why, but there's something about them. That is not your conscious brain telling you. That is your subconscious telling you there's something about this person that you like. All right? So have an open posture. If you are welcoming, if you're warm, you're friendly, you're attentive, those little things can go a long, long way. All right? So open yourself up to somebody. Not open, I mean telling them where you were born, what fight you had with your significant other, but meaning that you have to be open. Talk to them, look at them, glance at them, and be attentive. So if they are talking about something that you have no interest in, it does not matter, which is actually going to bring me to my next point. You paying attention to them, right? You are listening to what they have to say. You are actually interested in what they have to say, which goes in point with my next point in the slide, which is the tone. right? The tone and also show interest. Now, in the seminar, I used an example of fishing. Personally, I don't really care for fishing that much. But if I have somebody and I found out, because what is small talk? Small talk is for you to find a commonality with this person, all right? If they say something about fishing, you went probably fishing once, right? Just an example, of course, right? Guess what? You say, yes, I love it. You will show all the interest in the world. If that person warms up to you and that person is potentially a few $1 million contract or a few thousand, it doesn't matter. Whatever business you are in, guess what? If you, because your number one goal, your benefit, always remember your benefit, your goal, that's why you're a professional, you're a businessman, is to get the money. Always remember, you were there for the money first. If you develop some sort of a friendship out of it, that is an added bonus. But you were there for one thing and one thing only, that's to get the money. That is what, get the contract, get the service, get whatever it is that you need to get out of it. Always be aware of what your goal is, all right? Always be aware, that's why you called a professional, all right? So your tone, show interest. Be aware, if this guy talks about all this fish, I will sit there, I will listen. If he talks for 3 hours about fish, and in the back of my mind, it's like, I don't care. This guy, as long as I get my $2-3 million contract out of him, he can talk for 10 hours for all I care. If he is comfortable enough with me and he sees I show an interest, my posture is open, I'm attentive, I'm looking at him, my tone is of interest, guess what? He likes me, she likes me, that's what we want, they like me, all right? So this is what you have to be very, very careful for. And all of this is very easy, but, and I repeat, you have to use all of this in one way, you have to practice. This does not come easy. This didn't come easy for me. I wasn't born with the ability to small talk. No, I practice at it. Yeah, you'll make mistakes. Hey, guess what? Everybody does. Michael Jordan is not considered the best basketball player because he was just sitting on his butt and all of a sudden, no, he was practicing. Every day he was taking 1,000 jump shots. Same rule apply. You have to practice. Everything that I say, apply it, all right? Theory is great, but without practice, it's completely useless, all right? So always keep that in mind. So everything I'm telling you right now is from personal experience, research that I've done, and also things that I've seen, just in everyday situation, all right? So small talk for your benefit. I'm going over it again, all right? Know what the goal is. Second, open posture, be attentive. Listen to what they have to say. Put your body, always be aware of your body language because somebody subconscious will tell you they liked you, they didn't like you, there's something that you did wrong. Be aware of that, all right? Tone, show interest. Show interest. You have money coming in. That should be the biggest interest part for you. Oh yeah, talk about fish? I'm gonna make $10 million off of you? Ha! I love it. Exactly, so that should be the same exact thing, all right? Eye contact. Now, with eye contact, you have to be careful because you can look at somebody, but you should not stare at somebody. You know, if you see something weird and you have to focus on it, that is wrong. You cannot do that. All right? So every now and then, just look away. Blink. Something like that. Show the person that you are showing interest. You were listening to what they have to say. You were attentive. Your body posture is there. Your body language is there. Your eye contact is there. But don't stare. Right? Because if you stare too long at somebody, it looks like you're off in another world. Your thoughts are somewhere else. So as you can clearly see, it's a job that you are doing. Always be aware of what it is. Yes, you are talking for business, but you have to be aware of how the other person sees you. Always be aware. It's not what you think you do right, it's what the other person sees you do wrong that you have to keep in mind. All right? And last but not least is nod and understanding. Simplistic. Really? Okay. So what you said was this is this, right? So if I understand correctly, you said that we should do this. Or if I understand you correctly, you're saying that fishing for something, 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 whatever the case might be is. All right? You nod. You're repeating what that person said. You're understanding because now you're putting it into your words. I mean, what is understanding, right? You listen to something, you formulate it in your head, and then you say something, right? Somebody asks you a question, you listen, you think about it, and then you answer. Same thing with showing interest, small talk. It goes a long, long way with the same exact thing, all right? Now, obviously, I am just giving you a basic overview of a few little important techniques and tips that I would say to use you in small talk. Because honestly, one time, I'll tell you, I was in Boston once, and I had to talk to a gentleman, and I had to seal a contract for one of my, for my boss. And it was kind of nervous at first, but same thing, what I do, I practiced, right? So I practiced with my friends, I practiced with colleagues, I just practice, like, no, it sounds weird, don't say it this way. And then, so what did I do? So I applied, I practiced it. Now I'm going to take what I learned and I'm going to apply it in the real world. So it happened that this guy loved cricket. He used to live in India. I know a little bit about cricket because I read a few articles, whatever the case might be is, and we ended up talking about cricket for 2-3 hours from small talk. And you know what the question was that I started? How was your trip over here? That's one of the easiest questions. And they talk about something. You know what? I forgot I should have been with cricket. Now am I really interested in cricket? Not at all. But my posture was open. I was attentive. I paid attention to what he had to say. I showed interest. My tone was there. My eye contact was there. My understanding of what he said was there. And I was nodding. And also, I asked him questions, right? Which is not in the slide, but it's called open-ended questions. Questions where you know for a fact, and there's an added extra bonus for you guys, so you guys are welcome, is that it's called open-ended questions, which means ask a question that does not have a yes or no answer, right? So if somebody thinks, it doesn't matter. Just think about it. It's an open-ended question, right? So if you say, do you like the food? Yes. What do you like about the food? Same question, right? Do you like burgers? No. Okay, what do you think about burgers? First one is yes or no. The second one is, well, da-da-da-da-da-da. Right? They're going to say why they don't like something. And from that, guess what? You can catch something from there. I'm like, you know what? That's true. Because ultimately, you have to find a common ground, right? You have to build it. So another analogy that I like to use is that if you build a house, right? If you build a house, you can't just build a house on the ground. No, what happens? You have to dig all the way around. You have to lay down a foundation, small talk, and then from there you build up, and then you build up. It's the same exact analogy that applies in anything, in relationships, in business specifically, and things like that. So it does not matter, and this will actually help you secure that contract that you want, that your boss is going to want, and ultimately lead you to promotions. You can get commissions out of it, because ultimately it's more money. Remember, you're there for one thing. Everything else that happens after that, that is good, is added bonuses. That is good. There's nothing ever wrong with added extra stuff. So you get an extra friendship out of there, that is fantastic, But remember, you are there to talk about small talk, all right? Now, I'm obviously clearly only speaking on a Westerner's perspective, all right? Each side is a different side. I'm talking about the Westerner side. Now, as an American, we love to small talk. I will never go anywhere without small talking. My clients and my students know for a fact that once Jeremy comes into a classroom or whatever the case might be, or into their office, be aware that I'm going to be talking for 10 to 15 minutes about small talking. Actually, today, I was talking to producers and the cameraman today about small talk because it comes natural for me. It's an easy thing. I don't even think about doing it anymore. It's a natural thing to do. So make it part of your repertoire. It's easy to do. It'll be difficult at first, but hey, if it's easy, if it's not difficult, then everybody can do it. But everybody can't do it, then I wouldn't be in front of you talking about small talk. So, see, there you go. So I just helped you with that one. All right? So practice, 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 and everything, trust me on this, will be great. All right? So this is technically, in a nutshell, basically what small talk is. Now, obviously, like I mentioned, I go into more detail explicitly into one of my seminars that I did a while back, actually, for Webseminarai, is small talk, where I go into extensive for about an hour, what you can talk, what you can do, what you can do, what you cannot do, things of that nature, right? I actually suggest you check it out. It's very interesting, and a lot of people don't think about it, all right? If you're going to be doing business, and I'm not talking about Eastern countries up, no, I'm talking about the West now, all right? We love to small talk. It is in our nature, all right? So always keep that in mind. It'll never change. We will never just go right into business. It looks rude. It looks weird. I'm like, what does this guy want from me? I'm not going to trust this person. And the first thing you want to do, remember the ocean example that I use, right? You're going to test the waters. If it's cold, you got to work on it, right? If it's hot, then you're good, right? And you're building a foundation. You're building a foundation about what a relationship is built upon, okay? So you're welcome with that one. All right, so going to my next part. So with the next part, what I'm trying to talk about is presentation styles. Now, you've done small talk, all right? You did everything. Everything worked out good. You spend 10, 15 minutes. Normally it spends about 10, 15 minutes on small talk, but normally, sometimes it lasts a little bit longer, all right? Now, the longer small talks last, guess what? The better it is for you, because that person, because remember one thing you have to remember is that people love to talk about themselves. And if you give a person the opportunity to talk about themselves, they love it. Just remember a few details about it, and then let them keep talking and talking and talking. Because going back, you have a benefit. You need to get that contract. All right? So let's leave that it is, and now we move on to presentation styles. Presentation styles, presentation techniques, anything we're presenting. Now, obviously, I don't know what kind of business you are in, all right? Whether it's buying or selling, you're selling a service, you're selling a product, you're selling a company, it doesn't matter, all right? You have to present. Now, a lot of people like to stand behind a podium, all right? So you can choose behind a podium or you can choose to walk. I personally cannot just stand there and just stand like that. That's not in my nature. So going back is that I talk with my hands so you can clearly see. Go with my hands, because people follow what your hands do, right? So if I say, look at this slide, right? I can bet you, what did you do right now? You follow what my hands were doing. You did not look at me, right? Because that's what I do. I talk with my hands. Once again, you did it again. It's nature, so I can see everything in this. So if I try to make a point, I will come in closer to the camera so you can get the point, all right? This is all things, techniques that you can do. So it all depends. I remember, actually, I was in Lithuania. I was hired by a company. I cannot divulge the information because it was a classified. But what happened was they had to do a presentation. He had to do a presentation in front of all the Baltic states. They sold one of the biggest contracts. I'm not going to mention what kind of contract, because then you will know exactly which it is, and then it's not good for me. But in any case, so I worked with this gentleman for about a week and a half, all right? He came to me a little bit too late, but he found out about my services, and we started working on it every day for 2-3 hours. He was terrible at first, and this is a business person. I mean, he knows everything about the business, right? But what happens when you stand in front of somebody? Think about it. What happens when you stand in front of somebody and you're like, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to come off as what? You're going to come off as not knowing what the hell you were doing, number one, and you're going to come off bad, all right? What's the thing? Most people don't remember good things about you. They remember the bad things, right? Oh, yeah, you sucked at that presentation. Oh, you were terrible. You're like, oh, you were good. You did a great job, all right? So he went from bad, obviously we only had a week and a half, to not bad. There was a big improvement. Now, obviously, I'm good, but I'm not a magician. So obviously, if we work for 2 or 3 months at it, or 2 months at it, or even a month, you can see a significant improvement. And you know what happened? He did most of the time, he did actually very good, where some people actually telling him, wow, you did a great job, all right? Now, I didn't teach him any English lessons or anything of that nature. I taught him what he already knows, how to say it, and use whatever his characteristic, what his personality is that works for him. My personality is this. It'll never change. I'm like this. In my personal life, in my business life, it doesn't matter. It'll never change, because that's who I am. This is who I am. Now, somebody else, you can mimic somebody else, but it won't come off the same way. So find that little niche that works for you. And trust me, once you find it, because everybody's unique, you know, all our fingerprints is unique. Every person is specifically geared for one thing. Now, if once you watch the seminar, you might pick up on 10 or 15 different things, but only 5 of them applies to you. Guess what? That's fantastic. You just improved by 30–40%, and that's what I want, all right? Not every tip or every technique that I'm going to show you or tell you about is going to work for you. It works most of the time, and if you apply it and if you practice, as you can clearly see, this is the revolving door in this conversation or this seminar, is that you have to practice. You have to practice. If you don't practice, you will never improve. I know it goes without saying, of course you have to practice, but sometimes, you have to tell people stuff over and over and over again. If I tell you 10 times and it sticks once, then I did my job. All right? So that's the same exact thing. And also, always, always, always body language, which is my next slide. Body language goes in any part of hell. It doesn't matter what you do. Body language is the most important thing. All right? Now, don't be stiff and, oh, am I using my hand right? Am I not using my hand right? No, then you're making a mistake. Be natural about it, but know that your body language plays an important role. Now, if you saw me here today, just picture this, and I stood like this the whole time, or I stood like this the whole time, you're going to say, this guy's uncomfortable, he's scared, or something like that. You're going to know, I'm sure none of you are body language experts, but you can tell that this guy is not comfortable, all right? Now, then why would I give you advice if I don't have the same thing right now? So this is exactly what I'm trying to say. Be aware of it, use it, and practice. I practiced for years at what it is that I do. So I can stand in front of 10 people, I can stand in front of 10,000 people, and I will still be not nervous or complicated, things like that. Also, in the seminar, I go actually really extensively into things that you should do in a presentation and things that you should not do. How you should stand is very important. How you should not stand. How to use your hands. How not to use your hands, all right? Because sometimes if you're presenting one thing, you cannot use your hands whatsoever, all right? Think about it. It all depends what kind of business you are in, all right? Now, obviously, my business is explaining things. That's why I use my hands. It works perfectly, all right? People see, they listen, and they hear, all right? So let's skip that. All right, so body language, and also projecting yourself. Now, projecting yourself goes hand in hand with the point right after that, which is confidence, is because it's how you project yourself, all right? If you are a person that's timid, that is scared, you're going to be scared. If I'm sitting across from a person that can barely talk to me while I'm having a negotiation, guess what? I can get, instead of me wanting 10%, I can get 20% out of him because his personality or her personality or how they project themselves is saying that they can get whatever the hell they want out of me because I am not a strong person. So once again, going back to body language, if I'm more retract, you can see it. But if I'm relaxed, I'm confident, I am very confident, exactly, but not too confident because then you come off as cocky, which is also a problem. Guys, be aware of that. Business is good, but do not be cocky, all right? It's a very big thing. Don't be overconfident. Then you're going to have a big, big problem. Be confident enough, but also be able to have the ability to listen when somebody else has something to say. Because sometimes what you get is that men, especially men, and nowadays I actually notice it with women also because of this gender equality thing, which is perfectly fine, but don't overdo it. Confidence is a great thing. I am the first advocate of confidence. If you have confidence, you can do anything you want. You can get any girl you want, you can get any woman, you can get any man you want, it doesn't matter because you have that confidence, all right? But don't be overconfident, all right? I got this test, oh yeah, I passed it 300%. No. If score comes in, I failed it, and then, I messed up, Your mistake, you were overconfident, all right? Confidence goes hand in hand with practice. The more you practice, the more confident you are, all right? So this is how that actually works, okay? So body language, project yourself, and last but not least, confidence. So project yourself. Even if you have to, okay, so if you watch this seminar right now and you get the other seminar on Webseminarai.lt and you see that I don't have a lot of time because I have a meeting next week, guess what? Act. Act it out, right? Not like, but act like you're confident, right? Because some of this stuff is a little bit of acting involved, and then acting over time becomes natural, and natural is what you want, all right? It might be awkward, it might be weird, it might be strange in the beginning, but over time, it becomes natural, it becomes easy. It becomes, you don't even think about it anymore because it's so easy, all right? And that's how you normally start, okay? That's how that works. All right, now, moving on, the third one is actually is actually one of my favorite ones because it's a topic that is so big that nobody really thinks about it. It's called informal settings, and I'll explain it in more detail, obviously, in my seminar. But I will go over it quickly. Now, you've done the small talk. Your foundation is laid, right? The presentation is done. Negotiations is done. All right. Now, you got the contract, but this is the problem. You're going to celebrate now. You did not get the contract. I want you to be clear. You did not get the contract. The contract has not been signed. From what I know, 95% of the contracts has to go through lawyers, have to be signed, blah, 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 which takes what? Sometimes weeks, sometimes months. Yes, an agreement has been reached. Yes, a handshake has been done. But last time I checked, verbal contracts does not apply. If there's $10 million at stake, or 10 million pounds or euros, whatever the case might be, currency doesn't matter, and there's no contract, and the guy said, yes, I will do business with you, and you go celebrate and you mess it up, and because you thought that the contract was set. The contract is not set. I mean, the contract, once that contract is signed, then you finish with your job, and only then. So remember, what is your goal in the beginning is to get money out of this. All right, you did your work. You were in sync with all of your body, your mind. Everything was perfect. Small talk went great. Presentation went good. Negotiations went great. You got exactly what you wanted. Now you're going to celebrate. This is the informal part. The formal part is done. Now you can loosen the tie, take off the jacket, go out, go to a bar, whatever the case might be. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, your job is far from over. Because I read a book actually with Richard Branson, and I used this example actually in the seminar, is where he sailed a deal with some Asian partners, and what happened, they agreed. So what happened, he tried to smoke hashish with these Japanese people, and they were turned off by it, and he lost the contract. Because what did he do wrong? He thought the handshake, the agreement, was the sealed deal, everything was fine. Richard Branson, the owner of Virgin Records, Virgin Airlines, think about it. If that guy made that mistake, who are you not to make that mistake, all right? So be careful. Always be in control of yourself, of your body, because remember, you have to do everything you have to do to get that contract. If there's $10 million on the stake for me, I will be practicing for 3-4 weeks for this meeting. If the meeting is a week away, I'll be practicing every day for this meeting. Things to say, do my homework, because now you're talking money. And also money means money for the company, but guess what? If you get a commission out of it, that's $500,000 that you made. And you're going to throw $500,000 away for 3 or 4 hours on a night out because you acted the fool. Be aware of this, all right? This is why informal settings, a lot of people don't talk about it, but it's the biggest thing, all right? Because it can make or it can break a relationship. But also, be aware of your position, your role, okay? Now with that, what I mean is exactly this. If you are buying, you have a little bit more leverage. If you are selling, the buyer has a little bit more leverage, right? So if I want to buy, I don't know, some trucks, right? A fleet of trucks, it doesn't matter, right? I want to buy some trucks. So this supplier, he has to a little bit suck up to me because he wants my money, all right? Now if we are in the reverse, opposite roles of the situation, guess what? The same rule applies. Now as a buyer, you can have a little bit of more of a leeway, and a supplier, you have to be a little bit on your game, I would say, all right? So that's what I'm saying. Things you should do, things you shouldn't do, all right? Things you should talk about. Now, going with the small talk, what goes hand in hand is now you know exactly about the things to talk about and things not to talk about, all right? Because you know what he or she likes, all right? So if they didn't mention anything about their husband or wife, you don't know their personal relationship, so don't go just start asking. If they are opening up about it, that's a different story, you know? People talk about everything. I've seen it, conversations, I can tell you many conversations about many different topics, all right? One time I had a guy, all he wanted to do was complain about his wife. I had to listen to him complaining about his wife for 3 hours. 3 hours. But do you think I cared? Of course not. Why? Because I made a nice little chunk of change out of that contract because I was interested. Because remember, my first goal, I'm a capitalist, I'm an American. What I do, Money is my first project, especially in a contract. If I meet somebody for a contract, I only think about the money first. Yeah, we became friends after that. We still talk to this day, but I got the contract, I got my paycheck, I got the money, I reached my goal. And then the added bonus was that I reached a friend. They still married to this day, just to let you know. But everything worked out good, but he needed to vent, because you never know what somebody is. And if you show them that attention, they feel comfortable with you, they will sign with you. Do you see what I'm going at with these seminars? You have to practice, and this thing takes practice, all right? So, how to behave with men and women also. Very, very important, all right? You cannot do the same thing with men that you do with women. And also men, guess what? When you go celebrate, not all men likes going to a strip club. Be careful with that, all right? Not all men likes going to a strip club. Also, they could be gay. They could be anything. It doesn't matter. This is why small talk is important, right? To find what they like. Find out things about them, all right? So be careful about these things. We're talking about the Western world in this situation, right? There's a lot of different people out there. So you have to be careful. Don't just take any man to a strip club and expect every man to like that. Not a lot of men do. All right, most men do, but not every man, all right? Just to let you know. Yeah, women are a little bit different. Obviously, can't do the same exact thing. You have to behave a certain way when you meet a woman client, or when you meet a woman potential investor or a potential business partner, all right? If you celebrate, you can do a few things with a man that you cannot even attempt with a woman, obviously, right? Because it's going to come off as disrespectful, and guess what? You will lose that contract. And I've actually seen these things, and it's remarkable that people are like, oh, my job is done. Let's go celebrate, and then, no, your job is not done, all right? Table manners and conversation topics. Now, at this point, you know exactly what kind of conversations, topics you can talk about, because you already mentioned it, all right? You talked about it in small talk. You see how all three of these flow together, especially small talk and informal settings. They go hand in hand together, all right? So you start off and then you finish. You start strong, you finish strong, okay? Body language, it's a reoccurring thing. Body language applies in everything that you do. Everything that you do, body language applies in it, all right? I'm not even going to touch the body because you know exactly what it is. All right, table etiquette and respect. You have to respect people, whether it's the valet parking your car, whether it's the waitress. If she spills some wine on you, all right? If you start yelling at her or him, how is that going to look for the other person, all right? If that person's first job was a waiter, think about that. You don't know. This is why talking is important. So be respectful. Oh, don't worry about it. I'll just clean it off. Come off. Even though you could be angry as hell, you don't show it. Never show your emotions, because you always have to think, what does the other person see when they look at me, all right? Do they see confidence? Do they see respect? Do they see table manners? Do they see manners in general? And do they see that I really want this business? And also, it's a little tip and trick, because alcohol, 95% of the time, alcohol is involved. Now, if you need the other person, this is a technique that I always do. If I need the other person's money, right, I'm not going to get drunk, because I might say some stuff that when I'm drunk, which is not a good thing, right? So what you can do is, because I myself is I'm a Jack Daniels type of man. I like my whiskey, So I go to the bartender and I tell him, every time this table orders something, 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 and Jack Daniels and Coke, put this much Jack Daniels in it and this much Coke in there, right? So I'm aware, I'm drinking a little bit, whatever the case might be, but I'm aware of what I'm saying, of how I'm reacting, because you can always get drunk on another day. You can always do something else. Same thing with food, all right? One thing, don't order anything with pasta, right? If you really want pasta that day, guess what? No, you're not getting pasta that day, because you're going to look sloppy. Because what is a pasta? Pasta is a bunch of sauces. People don't think about these things. Bunch of sauces is how you come off to the other person that you have to know. And yes, informal settings is one of the biggest things that people forget that can lose you that contract. Remember what I said about Richard Branson, and he lost, and I'm sure, millions and millions of pounds on that deal, okay? But he learned a very expensive lesson from that case, all right? Don't expect everybody to do the same thing that you think they would like to do, all right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do a recap of everything that I had to do, all right? So, informal settings, review, So small talk, you need it, as you can see. It's a foundation, right? Think of a house. It is a foundation that is being built, all right? The presentation style, the presentation skill, how you do it, what to do, when to do it, how to do it, all right? And once again, all of this implies practice. All of this implies practice, okay? And then last but not least, informal settings. You got the agreement, but remember, I go back, the contract has not been signed. Once the contract is signed, then your job is over. Going out to a nightclub, going out to a bar, no, you are still working, all right? So this is what I mean when it comes to that, though. Okay, so I thank you for your time. Do we have any questions? No. All right, so I think there's a few questions for me. Let me just check real quick. Okay, here we go. So I have a few questions actually that I'll quickly go over that some people actually have. All right, how to properly introduce yourself or your company. Actually, this was with the presentation style. Now, to properly introduce yourself or your company, you have to tell me a little bit more about the setting. If you're going to meet him at, say, a fair, then you have to do a quick 2-3 second interview. If you meet him over a business lunch, that takes a little bit longer. So quickly introduce, yes, hi, my name is, so what did I do? I'm like, yes, hi, my name is Jeremy Meyer. I'm a company called Solutions, and actually what we do da-da-da-da-da-da-da, all right? Quick 2-3 seconds because, and this guy has to remember you. So smile, a firm handshake. Women, same thing, a firm handshake. None of this weak stuff. Make a firm handshake, let them always remember you. And if, funny enough, when women give a firm handshake to a man, for some reason, they always remember that, all right? So women, if you're out there listening, give a firm handshake, not a strong one, but just a firm handshake. This is me, this is what I do, and everything like that, and you have to do it in 30-40 seconds and to be remembered. And if they don't remember you, guess what? Go practice. Get back to the drawing board. Practice again, and this is how you introduce yourself, your company, all right? Smile. There's nothing wrong with smile. It's free. Anybody can have it, right? A hug and a smile is free. That's what we always have to say. All right? How to convince the client that you needed you. Oh, that they need you. Okay, sorry. I ran a little bit. So how to convince the client that they need you. This question is actually quite interesting. You need to tell the client what they need from you, all right? So if I'm, for instance, I'll use this. Okay, so let's, for instance, I say, okay, so I need this client. Okay, so he tells me, Jeremy, I need to present in 2-3 days. I don't have enough time. I'm like, you know what? Then you need my help. You know why? Because I can make you speak better. I can do this. I can do this. All you do, you mention all the benefits and none of the negatives about why they need you. And guess what? Also what you do, use your hands. Remember your body language. You point it down. So first, what I can do for you first is that I can make you talk better. Secondly, I can make your body posture better. Because what happens? They listen to what I have to say, but also because our minds work completely different, right? They are following my hands, right? So I'm giving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And last but not least, also you're talking, see, the wording that you have to use. Also, I can give you this, I can give you this, I can give you that. So look at that, it's 8 different things that I can provide for you for right now. See that how it works? You're telling them this. Also, guess what? That's 5. Look at it. Now we go to number 6. There's 7. There's 8. And then you show them this is 8 different things. See how that works? You use your body language. You use your fingers. You use your hands. Because people see. Always remember that. Okay? What part in body language is most important? How you stand up. All right? If I walk into a room, you know for a fact I walked into the room. I don't walk in like... You walk in that confidence. Project yourself. That's what I'm saying. You walk in the, hey, what's going on? My name is Jeremy. Nice to meet you. Blase, blase, blah, 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 blah. You walk in there, even if you don't have the confidence, like I said, act it out in the beginning first, all right? Yeah, how's it going, right? You give a firm handshake, your shoulders back, your back is always straight. None of this slouching stuff, all right? Does not matter. Even if you have to act it out, that's how you do it, okay? How to gain confidence with body language. Practice, basically. Practice, employ me, I can help you with a few tips and tricks. And it's just practice, all right? And also, what you have to also notice, Now, you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to be a body expert, but you can just, for instance, just go to a mall. Sometimes what I do is, like, if I sit with my girlfriend, sometimes I sit in a restaurant with her, and then I just look around at people, you know, and then I'm like, you know what, they're about to have an argument. You know what, they are on their first date, because you can see how people can like each other. It's very interesting. I mean, just practice it. That's what I do. So, you know, the closer two people sit together, the more they into each other. Check it out. Next time you go to a restaurant and there's a man or a woman sitting across, or it doesn't matter, and see where they are in their relationship by how close they sit to each other. I mean, if one person on one side, the other person on the other side, if they are closer, they just started. If they are more back, you can see they've been dated for a while, married for a while. It's interesting. And this is the type of things that I constantly do. And you see, and it's free practice. You can see it everywhere. All right? And that's how you do it. So always watch somebody. See somebody's in a bad mood. And that's how you do it. So that's how to gain confidence with your body language. And over time, and it doesn't take a long time. It takes 3, 4, 5, 6 months. You start to notice things like, oh, no, my back is arched. No, I got to stand up straight when I walk, you know? And these are little things that you gain from doing that, though. All right? How to behave in a situation when one of the parties don't usually party very differently, parties don't drink at all. Okay, there's a good one. A party that doesn't drink. What's the last thing that I said about informal settings? Respect, right? Respect what they are. Now, if parties don't usually party, guess what? That's why I talk about it in my seminar. You can just sit for 3, 4, 5 hours in a restaurant enjoying each other's company, because you are building a relationship. You don't need to party. You don't need to be able to go to a club and have like 10 or 15 different drinks. You don't need that, all right? So if that person, but there's another person like, hey, I'm here to, you know, I found Lithuania. I heard Lithuanian girls are great. I want to, you know what? That guy wants to party. No, I'm exhausted. I have a meeting tomorrow. Don't insist to God. You know what? Let's go out to dinner tonight, you know? Spend an hour or two. I'll take you to a nice restaurant, you know, and then I'll see you off. Have a great night. I'll see you soon, and maybe next time we can do something, you know? Always be aware and respect. Don't ever impose on somebody, all right? Never impose. If somebody does not want to do it, they are already, and you are making them do it, guess what? They are, from the start, already uncomfortable. It'll not get better. If they are already uncomfortable from the start, going back, you're going to lose out, all right? Because now you're going to be seen as being forceful, as making a person do what they don't want to do. And we are not kids. We are adults, right? We can make up our own minds, all right? So respect that. All right, last question. Say if you exercise the practice stance before the audience. Practice stance. Okay. Oh, how to stand when you do a presentation? Is that what we're talking about? Okay. All right. Now, earlier when I talk about presentation is the method of walking in when you make a point, right? So what I'm saying is that if we do this, that means 5 of the 6 can come back. So, and then you go back to on your point. So they can remember this point that you tried to make because you used it by walking not into the camera or walking closer to them. So now I'm like, oh, okay, I'm listening. Also, what other people like to do, I mostly see this in or business people. Some business people like to walk around. IT people business people like to stand right behind a podium. It's, for me, very boring because what happens, you just read what the PowerPoint presentation have to say, and then in your mind, you already make it up. That's why I always try to tell my clients that, you know what, walk around. If you don't have to walk around, move your hands a little bit. Because you just standing there right now, it's never a good thing. It's never a good thing. Yeah, you can have the greatest information in the world, but if you say it boringly, guess what? Nobody's going to listen about it, right? But if you make a joke or two, walk around, you feel comfortable, confidence, projecting yourself, once again, your body language is showing that, hey, I like what I do for a living. No. If you guys can tell me, right, I like what I do for a living. I love talking. I can do this all day, right? Because I like to educate, but also I'm comfortable in what I do because I practice at it, all right? So this is the same thing I would say for you. But I would suggest that you're not. Now, if you have, for instance, you have to present in front of like 10 people, just in a room of 10 people. I say walk around the whole room, right? Make your point. Let them follow what you have to say. Because if they are following what you have to say, you get the interest, right? If you just stand there, they're going to start writing, jotting down their numbers or stuff they have to do. Me, if I have 10 people, I will get everybody's attention by walking around the room. I'm walking up and down. And while I'm doing this, I'm talking, I'm noticing who's listening, who is not listening. So the person that's not listening, I walk around and I make it a point. I go back and I'm like, see, John, this is why you need me. Make sense? And now he's awake. And now I go around, I got you, now I got 7 of you. 8 is not listening, I go to 8. But you do it so smoothly that they just think that's your style. You know, this is the greatest thing about you can do anything you want to do if you do it in a natural and a confident way. I repeat, you can do anything you want to do if you do it in a natural and in a confident way, all right? So if you do a small talk, talk all of them, all right? I'm not a person to sit down, I hate it, all right? But I get my point across. Sometimes I sit down when I'm exhausted, but most of the time I'm up, and that's what I do, all right? So I thank you very much for your time. I hope this helped you. And remember, I go over small talk into detail and presentation style, presentation skills in detail, and I go in informal settings, which is actually one of my favorite things that I actually wrote for this one, because it was nice, because it reminded me of all the times that I did right and all the times that I did wrong, and I wasn't even aware of these things until I started becoming aware of these things by practicing, and this one I did. All right, so remember, body language, project yourself. If you don't have it, act it out. By acting, you start learning it. By learning it, it becomes comfortable. When it's comfortable, it becomes second nature, which at the end that's exactly what you want. All right, so if you guys see me on the street, guess what? We will small talk. All right, thank you for your time, and I'll see you next time. Bye.